Hey everyone, today I'm coming to you with a review on the brand new Marvel Legends Puff Adder Build-A-Figure Waves Orb. This was the last figure that I needed to complete the Puff Adder Build-A-Figure Wave. GameStop, for some reason, got all of the wave except him, and I gotta say, I wasn't too looking forward to this figure, but I have to say, now that I have it in hand, it is better than I was expecting. I thought by now, in 2023, we were long past the days of getting the Bucky Cap mold, but here we are with another figure, and I believe there is another figure later on in this year coming out with that body. But I have to say, I'm decently surprised with this figure. It is very, very fun, and I do love the giant eyeball. That is just something so unique. Now, obviously, like I mentioned, it is just a Bucky Cap body, so I don't have too much to say, but without further ado, let's get into the review for the brand new Marvel Legends Puff Adder Build-A-Figure Waves Orb. Now, as always, I do want to start off with the packaging for this figure. It is in your standard Marvel Legends plastic-free packaging. On the front, you have a rendered image of the Orb figure, and behind that, you have a comic image of the Orb character. On the top, Marvel's Orb. Down below, Marvel Avengers, which is kind of interesting to me because he more commonly is associated with Ghost Rider and Spider-Man, but here, he is in a Avengers wave. But to be fair, this whole Puff Adder Build-A-Figure wave, Avengers wave, is kind of just an all-dressed bag of potato chips. Let's just call it that. That's how I'm going to describe it. But on the side, you have another comic image of Orb. That is just the colored one that is on the front. Marvel Legends series on the bottom. On the back, you have the Puff Adder Build-A-Figure pieces that he is included with. Another rendered image of the figure. His accessories, the price, just a standard price of a Marvel Legend here in Canada at GameStop. Nothing really on the bottom. On the side, you do have the Puff Adder Build-A-Figure himself. The other figures in the wave reviews for all of them are out now, as well as the Iron Man, Captain America will be next, and then the Puff Adder Build-A-Figure himself, and I will do a ranking of all the figures in this wave in that video, so stay tuned for that. On the top, nothing much more. So all of that considered, let's get into the Orb figure himself. And here we have the Orb figure himself, looking very, very good and scary, I guess. But the first thing that I do want to start off with this figure, and arguably the most important thing, although I'm not even going to say arguably, because what else is more important with this figure than this big old eyeball sculpt? It is an entirely new sculpt, which, you know, that is kind of obvious, because why would Legends have a eyeball in the line before this figure? But it is very simple at that. It is just a ball. This would probably look good on like a new Mysterio figure with an actually movable head, because the other ones, the comic ones at least, haven't had movable heads. So maybe I'm on to something, but that is another topic for another time. Very simple. There you have the anti-ball joint underneath, but the printing, though, in my opinion, looks very, very good and looks exactly like an eye. It does definitely encapsulate the look of an eye for sure, and that does just pop onto the neck. There you can see the skin tone, but that mainly does get covered up when you do put the eyeball on. Now, for the rest of the figure, we do have this gun, which is a new sculpt. This was teased when they were kind of rolling out this Puff Adder Build-A-Figure wave, and it does look very, very good. Kind of also does look like an eyeball on the front, and you do have a spot to put a effect. Here we have the Yelena Belova effect from the same very wave, and that does just go in like so, and that does look very, very good. I don't know why they wouldn't have included this with this figure, as it is just a Bucky Cap, but hey, at least there are some in this very wave. But that is a cool accessory to get nonetheless. I don't really know what else they would have included for accessories with this figure, so I'm not going to complain with accessories. But for the rest of this figure, it is just a Bucky Cap, but I do love the paint that we have going on here. The blue and the white does look very, very good, very patriotic. It kind of does look like a certain flag, if I have to say so myself. I'm not going to say what flag, but you can just guess in the comments below. You do have some of that detail going on the gloves, which is very, very nice. At least that, you know, even though it is a Bucky Cap, I am impressed that they did do all of this paint on this figure. I don't think we would have gotten all this detail on other figures, but hey, I could be wrong. And then you just have a standard kind of Bucky Cap belt. I believe this is a standard Bucky Cap belt. It could be new, but it looks very familiar, just with different paint, which does make sense. You can pop it off, I believe. Yeah, you can, but what is the reason to? Now, for the rest of the figure, it is just red with the white boots. So same Bucky Cap body parts as always, but it does look okay. You can definitely see the mold getting worn out. Very, very gummy joints as opposed to earlier Bucky Cap body mold figures. But other than that, I'm sorry to say, but that's all that I really got to say with this figure. There isn't a lot to it, but what you do get here does work well enough for the orb figure himself. Now, for the articulation on this orb, it is kind of what you would expect. The head does go up that much, down, no tilt, full 360. Arms go out that much, down, full 360. Bicep swivel, double jointed pinned elbows that go in a little more than 90. This hand goes up, down, full 360, same as the other side. Ab crunch goes down that much. Back, full 360 for the waist cut. Legs skate forward that much. Back, splits, upper thigh cut, double jointed pinned knees, boot rotation, and then the ankles do go up that much, down, and beautiful orb ankle pivot. And first, for comparisons, here we have the orb figure next to the Ghost Rider on the bike. Now, this does obviously make sense for a comparison, but I did want to bring out this bike because Hasbro does tend to use the same bikes majority of the time for their Rider series figures. Now, you know, I have seen some people using the Punisher bike, but I thought since I'm going to bring this Ghost Rider out, I would just put this orb figure on. Obviously, this isn't the bike that he would use, but it is the same kind of mold, at least, that he would use. Just kind of picture this black, just go like so, like this. Let's put the legs, boom, boom, and that does look very, very good. Maybe this figure should have been released in a Rider series set, but hey, I'm still happy with this figure nonetheless. That actually does look very good, even with the flames. Maybe, you know, it's a storyline where he stole Ghost Rider's bike. Give me my bike, man. And then next for comparisons, here we have the orb figure next to the animated Spider-Man retro carded figure, as well as the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends Captain America figure. And then lastly for comparisons, because I don't really know what else to compare on next to this orb, here we have some of his wave mates, being the Extremis Armor Iron Man, as well as the Build-A-Figure himself, Puff Adder. Now, for my final thoughts on this rather funny Marvel Legends orb figure, I gotta say I'm more impressed with this figure than I was expecting, but that being said, that isn't saying too much as it is just a Bucky Cap body, but I have had a lot of fun with this figure. I won't deny that, but that being said, I really am sick of getting this Bucky Cap body. I know a lot of people are, especially with the new Vulcan body out. I really would have liked to see this figure on that body, but here we are with the Bucky Cap body. I imagine they have designed this figure like for years. They've had it designed for years, so they kind of just were waiting for a wave or spot to put it in the Legends line, and I guess they decided to put it in the Puff Adder wave, which at least to me doesn't make a lot of sense. But you know, this Puff Adder wave in general, it isn't the best wave to a lot of people. I personally really like it, and I do enjoy the Build-A-Figure, but a lot of people aren't going to go out of their way to complete this wave and build the Puff Adder, and there are a lot of figures in this wave that are going to be, you know, peg warmers and pick and choosy with this wave, which, you know, is usually the case, but especially with this wave because it is such a variety and there's so much different going on here. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this figure overall, but that's coming from me. I know my friend Joel, FizzyFigs on Instagram, just thought I'd give him a quick plug. He didn't really want a lot of figures of this wave. Recently, he has been kind of narrowing down on collecting Legends, but the two figures that he really wanted from this wave were Wonder Man, but even more than that was Orb. And I was like, really? Not the Extremis Armor Iron Man or the Yelena or the Captain America, but the Orb? And you know what? He's like, I actually really enjoy him in the comics. So, you know, it is different to everyone. And for him, he really did want this figure and he was very happy with it. But for me, at least, I don't have that much tie to the character. I imagine a lot of people don't. So that being said, at the price point of a standard Marvel Legend in Canada, I think I'm going to give this figure like, I'm going to give him a 6. I don't think he deserves a 7, but he doesn't deserve a 6.9. That is the worst rating. So I'm going to give him like a 6.8. I think that is a fair rating for this figure. But, you know, with that price, and especially with the prices going up, just getting a Bucky Cap body is kind of disappointing. This is the type of figure that I imagine would be in a 5-pack because those figures tend to be lesser quality, at least in my opinion. So I don't really think this figure fits to be that normal price, and especially fits in this wave. I find it to be a odd wave for this figure to be included with. Would have been better included with the Ghost Rider HasLab, which, you know, RIP. But still, with all that being said, let me know what you think of this figure in the comments below. Do you like it? Are you going to pick it up? As always, start a conversation down below, and I will try my best to respond. But until my next video, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you tomorrow. Keep your eye open. Bye, guys.